I decided to wear King Power, my King Power cap. Oh,
We are live. Sorry to do that to you, Alex. We've been trying to get this sorted for about 5 minutes. My God. Leicester is really throwing me off that one, as Leicester City 4. I mean, it's near this start has been as weird as this game. Alex, 4-0. Where do we start?
we got 3 points. We got a win. Like, we're not in last place. Think of the positives here. There's a lot.
It's it's so strange. It's so strange. I'm happy that we've got the points. Don't get me wrong, but we got to be honest. Forest were awful today.
You know what? You know it's that time of the year when tree cutting season starts taking place because you know forest is going down.
Yeah, they just didn't turn up, and I'm just like, thank God, because we needed a win somewhere, anywhere, especially this game. We were talking with Glenn yesterday, and we just went anything for this game, and it finally paid off. I mean, started the game. I don't know what he thought the 4-3-3. It was kind of predictable what he was going to do, the players he was going to play. I missed the first half just because I was stuck in traffic. But from what I heard on the radio, we created a load of chances, but we just didn't finish them in like the first 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, you got to give them credit. I think the effort is there, and that's one thing that I've seen when it comes to the attacking. We're there. We know how to attack, and that was not a concern of mine heading into this game. Was are we going to score? Because I had no issue with that. The biggest fear I had was our defending. I'm going to be brutally honest, because any game so far this season, I haven't really stressed about the whole attacking phase. It's been like, okay, can we defend? And tonight, we were able to defend, and that's key. Is there some red flags going about still? Flashing in the air? Absolutely. I'm just going to forego those right now and just be extremely happy that we got the victory.
I mean, yeah, we've got Tom here as well. So, Tom, what are your thoughts? I mean, going into this game, like it was so toxic, so bad, and this is a little bit of a plaster. However, we just have to take this one, don't we, Tom? Because my God, was it bad before this? And I know it's not perfect. And again, we've got a clean sheet, 4 goals against Nottingham Forest, come at a great time. It's just nice to go. At least for one game, we can go, okay, we forget about the rest of the season, and we're not bottom and things like that. We are moving in the right direction. 90 minutes, I didn't have to worry about football for a little bit. And he's gone on mute.
Sorry, you got me.
Yeah.
Hi guys, hi. It's been a while. I've come out of hiding because we won a fucking game. Sorry.
It's fine.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's good to be sat here after a win. Do you know what? I think it just sort of it's nice to sit here and be like, do you know what? We're not actually that bad. Like we're bad. We're not great, but we're not as bad as we've been so far this season. And I think, all right, it was at home to Forest. They were pretty dreadful, but it's nice to just sit here and be like, do you know what? We to see some of our players playing well. Like this is how we can play. We know we're capable. And like before tonight, I was like, if we don't win this match, even though it's so early in the season, I was genuinely like, if we don't win this match, we're getting relegated. Like we're gonna go down. And then now after sitting there after a 4-0 win, you're like, do you know what? We'll be all right. Like I think we'll be all right. I don't know. It's nice, but also I think, like you said, it has been pretty toxic recently. We've all been sat there saying, Rodgers needs to go. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a vindication for keeping him. It's far too early to say that. But I think it was noticeable that the atmosphere was amazing. Like the crowd were well behind their team. It was like if you just watched that game, you didn't know our situation, you wouldn't know we'd been as bad as we have been and it's been as toxic as it has. You'd actually think this is a club that's sort of they're quite together and they're pushing in the same direction. So hopefully we can continue like that. But it works both ways. Do you know what I mean? The team need to give the crowd something to go off, and then they can feed it back to the team, and then it all feeds together. So I think tonight, finally, we saw the club like coming together, and yeah, like it was good to see. It was good to see.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and I think we mentioned this yesterday in the preview to this, going right. What Brendan Rodgers came out a little more positive than we've ever seen him before, Alex, and I won't say it's completely paid off. I mean, defensively, there's still problems. We'll get on some of the individual players at the moment, however, get in a bit, but in terms of the way that Leicester went from minute one, which we've said we've switched off for long periods of time, and even the last 20 minutes, we've seen them switch off quite dramatically. It seemed like the mentality was there. Yes, it's only one game, but it's just nice to see some positive things for once and for the full 90 minutes.
No, of course. And I think when it comes to a situation that we're in, all you need is one win. And I think one win could definitely steer the ship in the right direction as long as you continue to push in that direction. I'm not saying that this is going to be the be all to end all. Everything's fixed and resolved. When it comes to Rodgers, it's kind of like putting a band-aid over like a gunshot wound, being like, okay, we fixed the situation for the time being, but it's definitely not sorted out. And it's kind of like the same thing with the club. Like, a win's a win. We'll definitely take it, but there's still glaring things that need to be, adjusted and really looked at, throughout the week before the next match. But I think right now we can just look at this and be like, take it for what it is. It's 3 points. It's 3 desperate points that we need. And we're not as bad as Forest. And I think that says it all right there.
I mean, we're only ahead on goal difference at the moment, but I agree.
Let
Take it at the moment. Take it at the moment.
No, yeah, I mean, let's be fair. There was the gap between the actual quality of the two sides was huge. Like, like we might be only ahead of them on goal difference, but we're miles ahead of them in terms of our actual team. And like, I do agree, Alex. Let's not get twisted. Like, we're still a long way from being, sorted from all of these problems being fixed. And these next few weeks are huge. Like, we got, you know what I mean? I'm just looking at our fixtures. We've got Bournemouth away, Palace at home, Leeds at home, Wolves away. Just those next 4 weeks, like, we need to keep this going now. We need to get on a little roll. If we can pick up 3 wins in those 4 games, suddenly we can start actually breathing a bit of a sigh of relief and kind of being like, okay, right, where do we go from here, sort of thing. From now, it's like, this was just a win that we needed desperately, and but it was nice to do it in an emphatic way. So we weren't. It was nice to just not sit there in the second half and not be nervous about, even if it was 2-0, I still would have been nervous. So it was nice to sit there and feel relaxed for once,
Yeah, definitely. But if it was 2-0, I could be like, we've seen this before with Brentford. The fact there was 3 and potentially 4, it makes it okay, and makes it a little bit better. It did help that I think defensively we're still holes. We'll probably get onto that in a bit. But Alex, Forest missed their chances massively for big parts. That was the few through on goal, and it just all fell apart for them. To be honest, I'm happy they did. But some of the times I was like, right, there's a couple of one-on-ones they had and opportunities. I was like, that should be a goal. Oh wait, they messed it up. Oh, they put it way further, and it was offside. And I'm like, I'm glad it all just came together for this match. And if it's anything, we've just got something.
Yeah, and that's the repercussion of buying your entire club off of Wish. That's the biggest issue. But in all honesty, like, Forest is like a prime example of why not buying over 20 players in one window is a great idea, because you can see where they are right now. They have no clue on how to actually communicate with each other, and they're just they're all solo players playing for one club, but they're not united at all. They have no idea what they're doing. And that's what, going back to what Tom said, like, the difference between who Leicester are and who Forest are is that Leicester are an actual squad. They're an actual club. They know how to communicate and whatnot. But when you look at Forest, it's really like you're going to like the 100-acre woods, but like, instead of that, like, all the trees have been chopped down and you're just hoping to find something alive, but realistically there's nothing there. And that's the big difference, is that, I think it's clear example as to why you just don't go out, splash the cash just because you can. Because at the end of the day, You need to have communication. You need to have chemistry. Leicester have that, and there's evidence that they can show up and have that chemistry. Forest don't have that.
And it's why we've been annoyed for so long, because we know the quality of the team is here and that we can deliver, and we haven't been doing. I mean, there's certain things there's certain people I want to touch on. I think this first time that I've watched this centre back, this back four line, Tom, I thought, to be fair, there will be a partnership that will flourish, but Fast and Evans as a partnership, they seem to complement each other quite well, in my opinion. It's early days, but I can see that what Fast's leadership qualities are there to see, and he is. I don't know. He's young and he's vibrant, but Evans has still got that power and go, okay, here's what we're going to do. It's a really nice duo, the pair of them.
Yeah, I like him, man. I think it was a bit of he got put right into the fire, right? Like against Spurs. I mean, even in that game, it's like I don't think you can particularly blame him. I think he was looking around, going like, "What have I just signed for here?" But when you got Son coming on against you and scoring a hat trick, it's like, yeah, like I say, it was a harsh kind of reality for him, as this is Premier League football. But I think he does look promising, and he does add a bit of fire into the team, like a bit of passion. And like I noticed when the final whistle went, he caught my eye, and that he was celebrating, like, because of the clean sheet. I think especially as a win, he was loving it. And I think he's going to be very popular among Leicester fans. Like, and like you say, I think when he signed, he said one of his big characteristics was leadership. I think he is obviously, like, he has that sort of character, and I think we need that, because we've seen when Evans plays with Soyuncu or whatever, or with Amati as well, they're a bit lost together. So I think hopefully they can develop into something. But yeah, it's just nice to have at least one new player who's added a bit of fresh sort of impetus into the team. And I think you're right, Alex. Forest signing 20 players. I think we've seen it before. Like, I remember QPR did it. I'm trying to think. There was someone else now, but it's never really worked. But I think there's a happy medium somewhere, right? Like, it'd be nice to sign 5 or 6 players. I think that's the sort of between 4 and 6. That's the sort of right amount of players. We've signed too little. They signed too many. But at least we had a good team to begin with. So, like, hopefully Feist can make a difference moving forwards, and we can keep this going now.
I'm hoping so, because I think there's some good play, some good positioning as well. Who impressed you today, Alex? I mean, there's only one real player to really talk about in terms of play that was a head and shoulder above everybody else on the pitch. James Maddison, obviously 2 goals and assist. He's been performing in a team that's not been performing. As the day kind of showed, when it all clicked together, James Maddison was there to show up.
James Maddison woke up this morning, grabbed his axe, and said, "Let's go." Like, truly, he did. It's game in and game out. Like, it's the crazy thing about James Maddison is that, even when, Leicester are not firing on all cylinders, and I feel like I'm a broken record saying that, because it's been them all season. James Maddison has been the player that has stood out. And it's been, time and time again where it's been James Maddison, James Maddison, James Maddison. And I feel like I just want to highlight this. Southgate is probably not even watching this game because there's no point, but it's just evident as to see, you watch James Maddison play and you go, how? Like, really, how? Like, he is so evident that he needs to be in the England lineup for the World Cup, but it's not going to happen. And that's the shocker of it. But and there it is. Holland is literally a cyborg, and then you have Maddison in second with De Bruyne, and
above Harry Kane, who is always going to the World Cup, which I don't blame, but still,
he's just unreal. And and I think we've talked about James Maddison, and I will fully say that I've been very critical of Maddison in the past, because I know because I think we all know what he can be, and he's showing it. But instead of just showing it, he keeps going to different and higher levels and being like, this is where I was before, this game, I'm going to even bring it higher. And like, that quality just continues to increase. And, having a player of that caliber on your squad is something so special. And you hope that the club can turn it around, because Maddison really is the face of the club, in my opinion, right now, and the way he's playing game in, game out. He is exactly what you need in a player.
Really is, especially at this moment in time, because again, without him, again, the scoreline could look very different. But there's a couple of other players. Well, Tom, Jamie Vardy just seems to be going through a rough patch at the moment. Seems to be getting in the good position. Seems to be getting the right. And you think, right, this is Vardy's chance. Didn't work. Didn't quite work for him today. I'm not too worried because we know that he's still got quality with him, but he's just on a bit of a non-form at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, it's tough. It's difficult because you know what I mean, we all love him, and like he does over the last few seasons, especially, has blown hot and cold. Like he goes through streaks, and then he has runs of games where he doesn't really where he doesn't necessarily score many, but he's struggling. He is struggling. I think he is one of them. Maybe when he gets a goal, that'll get him going again, and his confidence will pick up a lot. But at the moment, yeah, it's like I think Daka's really pushing him now. I know that he started the last couple. I think he didn't do badly. I think even against kind of Spurs, he did all right. And tonight, it was a lovely finish from him as well. And I think Vard's. I mean, we've been saying for a while we can't keep relying on him, right? So in a way, he is getting on, and we don't want to be in a position where we have to rely on Vardy to get us all our goals. But at the same time, I would like to see him pick up again and get that form going. I don't know. It's a really, really difficult one, but I think eventually it will come. It's just a matter of time. Just to touch on Matters really quickly again, though, I think it is like a big kind of. He's making Gareth Southgate look like more of a mug every single week that he plays. Like, it's like, what have you got to do to get picked for England? An England team that isn't even playing well, hasn't been getting many good results. And this matters. It's not just this season, it's a carry on from last season. That this form, like he's been our standout player now for a while, and he's been consistent for a while as well. And like the thing that baffles me the most is that was their last games before the World Cup, and if you had brought him into the squad, he would have at least kept the door open. And like then if he had picked him, he could have picked him or dropped him, whatever. But now that he didn't play, it's like I feel like Southgate's almost said it's too late now. It's going to be very difficult for him to get into the World Cup squad when he hasn't been involved in any squads this whole time. And Southgate's just done himself over. I don't know why he's put himself in this position, and what he's going to end up with Ward-Prowse. I mean, I like Ward-Prowse. I think we should have signed him, but you telling me Ward-Prowse has been on better form than James Maddison? Like, are you crazy? It's
even Mason Mount. Mason Mount has been off form this season.
Yeah, even Mount. Yeah, look at that screenshot that you just brought up. He's level with De Bruyne. I mean, are you serious? Like, there's, we all like De Bruyne is one of the best players in the world. Maddison's in a team that's seriously struggling. He's carrying us on his own, and he's hitting the same numbers as KDB. Like, what more have you got to do, seriously, to get it looking? So that baffles me. But I think it's to our advantage because I think, like you said, he came out and he's like, do you know what? Fine, if you're not going to pick me, I'm going to show you exactly what I can do. And good for us.
And I think as well, he was one of the winners, not this international window, but the last one. He was one of the winners out of that as well because of, I think the team lost 4-0 to Hungary and things. And Gareth Southgate, I've got my own thing about Southgate where he doesn't like people that are too confident and cocky. So not cocky. I mean, like James Maddison will grab the game by the scruff of the neck and go, right, I'm going to try something and I'm going to try it. Trent will kind of do the same thing. I know he's defensively is not an issue. Players would kill for any international team would kill for someone like Trent in their team. Genuinely, anybody like that. Sorry, Trent, and then Jack Grealish, another one, a player that can make things happen. Yes, it hasn't worked, but he doesn't like that kind of character. That's my thing. And regardless of what they do off the pitch, on the pitch, Gareth Southgate just doesn't like. He likes a yes man, and I don't think Maddison fits that.
I think with Madders, just last point on Madders for me quickly. I think the other thing is like I don't know if you've noticed as well, but in the last couple of years, he seems to have matured a lot. Like when he's in an interview, he's like the most honest player, whether we won or lost. He's honest. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He feels it. Like they interviewed him after the Tottenham game, and you could see he was like devastated and he talks like a proper. I know he's had a kid now himself, and like he talks like a proper experienced Premier League player, an adult, mature. And like I know that last time he was with England, he missed out on a squad and then they pictured him in a casino or something, and they made a big deal out of it. Like, oh look, James Maddison is gambling while England are playing or something. And it's like, if that's still their view of him, then they're idiots, because he has come a long way, and like he's carrying us both on the pitch, but I think also off the pitch, he's become a huge player for us as well.
Yeah, definitely agree there. Another person that got a goal today, Alex, Harvey Barnes. Think he looked confident. I don't think he quite took his opportunities, but it's good to see him again get his goal, took his goal well, and also just I think if we can keep this up in the next couple of games, again the games that we've got this month, I'm hoping Harvey Barnes can go on and run as well.
You know what? It's a step in the right direction. Confidence builder is what I kind of look at games like this, because what we've seen with Barnes is that he's a very hot and cold type player, and he's been on the cold spell of late. And I think a game like this where you contribute to the score and get it by getting a goal. I think that's really going to benefit him long term, especially this season. And hopefully this is just a kickstart for him, because I think that would be huge and extremely beneficial for him. It's exactly what we needed today. Maddison getting some goals and, capitalizing on an assist. Daka getting a goal. Like, Daka getting a goal is huge. Barnes getting a goal is huge. I know everyone will, make fun of me, but, Danny Ward getting a clean sheet is so important, because that is so important, just not only for, the club, but for his mentality, I think. Imagine going into each and every single game being like, well, I'm going to get absolutely manhandled yet again. And you can walk out of this game being like, no, clean sheet. Like, this is good. And I think when you look at like I think it's a confidence game. This game you go in being like, okay, we're not as bad as we thought we might have been. And you go out of this game be like, we can do it. Sure, we beat Forest. Sure, Forest aren't the best. But I think this will allow them to be like, okay, we can beat teams like Bournemouth and Crystal Palace, and we can compete. Maybe we need to figure some things out to compete with some of the higher, the top of the league clubs. But overall, I think it's something that they just need to. This is one step in the right direction in confidence, and that's for everybody, but especially guys like Barnes.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well. And again, it's just this next step. Hopefully, they can take up and then continue this form into the next game with a couple of hopefully a goal or so. And Tom, again, one thing I'm going to come back to it, but because James Maddison's second goal, that was like I looked at it and went, he's a man in form, and I looked at it and go, this is a Maddison position, but I still didn't expect him to score. What a goal for that third goal! I mean, the way it literally bounced off the inside, but he couldn't have hit it any sweeter, really.
No, yeah, it was one of them where when we got the free kick, I was like, if Maddison actually had to pick up a ball and put it on the pitch, like in training, to take a free kick, he probably would have put it about there. Like, it couldn't have been in a much better position, but still, I mean, to still go and put it in the top bins off the post, it's like, it's a very, very skillful thing to do and an extremely useful asset to have in your team, to have someone who can do that. I did notice the three Leicester players stood on the goalkeeper's side, sort of moving out of the way to sort of block the view. I know it's not a particularly like genius strategy. It's a fairly kind of straightforward one, but is that the set piece specialist having an effect?
Yeah.
Is that his magic? I'm sure he'll claim it, because I don't know. It was something that helped. Because I still, in my view, like, if it's on the keeper's side, he should be getting it most of, like, 9 times out of 10. But then again, if you're going to put it posting in, you can't really put it more accurate than that. So him and Barnes' goals were both both quality goals. You did say no, they had some chances. I think the biggest one is that they had that one-on-one where they hit the post when it was 0-0. And part of me did wonder when I was in the second half when it was so comfortable. It did cross my mind if he had scored that and we'd got 1-0 down, and the atmosphere in the stadium had taken a turn for the worse. I do wonder what might have happened in that game. But do you know what? It hit the post, it went our way, and then the rest is kind of history. So let's be thankful for that and take it forwards from here. But I think, and the clean sheet as well is huge. You know, like I think for Ward's confidence and for the whole back four, I think it was really important for them in that second half. It was just important to keep hold of that clean sheet. So it was good to see that.
Definitely. And I get your point in terms of the 1-0, but also that's kind of football in the same way that you could take it back and go, what if Tielemans doesn't hit that strike for the FA Cup? What happens if Kasper Schmeichel doesn't make that save? And there's all these kind of, and then we go to 1-1 into extra time and these kind of things we could have. So it's football. It's why we love it. It's so unpredictable. Like this game, I would not have predicted 4-0 for Leicester to win. It's just completely against the run of form of how we've been. And I think Dave puts a good point as well in terms of just you're mentioning set piece and things like that as well. Just come back to Danny Ward. I mean, again, we have given him grief. He hasn't. I think having a solid back four has helped Alex today, but coming out from corners, he looks a bit better. There's still problems, kind of as we're saying in the event. I still say Danny Ward. There is problems with his coming. However, he was a lot better today. Not great, not great, but I can see good signs at least because we know he's a good keeper. We've seen him perform for Wales. We've seen him perform in one-off games for Leicester City. Now, hopefully, again, as you were saying, another confidence builder for Danny Ward.
Yeah, I think there needs to be that level of trust. I think there needs to be that level of trust for Ward with the defenders, and I think that the defenders need to trust Ward. And I still think they're working that out because when you think about it, Schmeichel had the net for years. There was that level of trust. There was that level of understanding and communication, and they knew how to work with that. You know, Ward comes in. You know, he's been riding the pine for the last since he's come into Leicester. Like he really hasn't done anything. You know, so there's that new level of confidence and there's that new level of understanding and communication and trust. And I think what we've seen to start this season is there was no trust, and that went both ways. Ward didn't trust the defenders. The defenders were like, no, we don't trust you. And I hope that this is, again, heading in the right direction where Ward is becoming more confident, knowing that, Rodgers has given him another opportunity after another opportunity. And this time he said, you know what, I got to take it. I got to be, I got to control and command the box more. And he needs to, and he's, the defenders are like, okay, we need to trust him more. And I think what we saw today was that relative of effective communication. Sure, we definitely saw some moments of, absolute chaos. And, I freaked out a few times to say the least, but I think it's going in the right direction. But I think it's a continuation of, practice makes perfect. And hopefully, the effectiveness of trust and communication just continue on.
Yeah, and I'm hoping so as well. And we've seen teams like, for example, Arsenal, I remember at the beginning of the year playing terribly, then they kind of turned it around. Same thing with Man United this season. They've had a terrible, but then they've obviously they lost 6-3 recently as well, but no harm in that. I mean, we lost 6-3 to them with a much worse team. But anyway, in terms of I'm saying that there is room for progression. When you think it can't get any worse, we've gone up a little bit, which is great. I think another player that kind of, again, as you were saying, giving an opportunity to, I think through injury, again, I don't know what happened to Wilfred Ndidi, but Samori came in, Tom. I think he looked really good. Some of the last, I think, 93rd minute, he's blasting towards goal. I'm thinking, great, go for it, have a solo run. But I think it was a good game for him to get confidence because I don't know what happened to Ndidi. Maybe it was an injury or something because it didn't really make sense to take him off. I think it must have been a niggle or something. But Samori looked decent when he came on, and you can see the potential in this lad. If he gets a run of games, we're looking at a really good, the potential. You can just see it in him.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he definitely had his tail up when he came on. I think coming on in a game where sort of already settled is obviously a bit easier than coming on in some of the games he has recently. But yeah, he did stand out actually. You're right when he came on. And I think we have seen glimpses of what he can do. It'd be nice to see him actually maybe have a consistent run. Obviously, Ndidi in the last few years has been like one of the first names on the team sheet, one of our most consistent players. But recently, he's not been at the level. I think we can all kind of be honest about that. So yeah, I think there is a gap there. I think like that Dewsbury Hall, Maddison, and Tielemans trio is sort of fixed. I like Dewsbury Hall still performing really well, and he kind of complements Maddison in that he does a bit more of the kind of harder graft. Tielemans looked back to his kind of. I always hear this. Tielemans back to his best, but he did look like he was really committed today. And then I think Samari has a chance to push Ndidi for a place over these next few games. So yeah, it was good to see. I would like to see Pratt given a bit more game time. I think he's still, I think he got the last sort of 10 minutes today. I'd like to see him get given a bit more time.
Over
but
who?
Yeah, that's a good question. That is a good question. I think it would be Yuri. I think that Yuri, occasionally, I think we can give Yuri a rest or bring him out of the team. He doesn't necessarily have to be playing week in, week out. And I think it would affect anyone, right? I think it does affect him when he's like, he never gets a break and he's kind of having to play that role where he's up and down the pitch. It requires a lot of energy, and I think Pratt does bring that. So I think you could swap them out occasionally. But I think on the whole, though, now that we've got our centre defence potentially kind of in place, it'd be nice to have a bit of a consistent team and let this team try and kind of really build up that chemistry and try and hit a bit of form these next few games. Maybe with the one kind of the one position for grabs, I think is Vardy and Daka. It's difficult to know exactly what to do there, but I think either of them can make an impact off the bench. So it doesn't necessarily matter who you're going to start because you're always going to bring one of them on probably with 30 minutes to go. So you can kind of swap that round and like I say, either of them can come off the bench and make an impact like Daka did today.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and that's what was going to be my next point actually. So in terms of obviously, Brendan Rodgers did get his substitution again. I don't know about the Wilfred and Ndidi one, and Samori that seemed to have worked. And another one, to be honest, the fact that he took Vardy off so early, because considering he was in the game, he just wasn't finishing. The fact that Alex, they took him off and they brought Daka on, and Daka got his goal. It just gives that reassurance. Again, another one is Tielemans for Pratt. Yes, it was later. It was at 8:79 minutes something, but it shows you that Tielemans was tiring. He made the substitution kind of proactively to go, we've got another player that can come in here. But specifically about Vardy and Daka, Vardy really wasn't really working, but then giving Daka the opportunity, getting his goal, I think just shows, again, credit to Brendan for getting the substitutions right in this way, because he could have gone, no, Jamie Vardy's our star man. It's against a local rival. He needs to play full 90 minutes. He gave him his opportunity and he took it. And I'm happy about that.
To be brutally honest, I was shocked when, I saw more than 2 substitutions for Brendan this time around. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what on earth is going on today? We're winning, like effectively winning, and Brendan's using the substitutions. I thought, it's like different reality in my eyes. But no, as much as we always talk about Jamie Vardy and how much we love him and we admire him. He I think the age is really starting to show, and I think it was a wise substitution to bring on Daka. He had the opportunities, and he just couldn't effectively get a goal on any of them. So I think it was a wise decision. And kind of going back to the whole Daka Vardy situation, I think it's the way that we're kind of going about it. I really do start seeing Daka take over. And I think you're going to start seeing Daka take over the start matches. And I think Vardy will be the type of player that will come on in 60, 70 minutes and, go from there. Which, can we just be brutally honest? If that's the case, if you got Jamie Vardy for 20 minutes, like that's still absolutely terrifying. 20, 30 minutes of Jamie Vardy might be even better than 70 minutes of Jamie Vardy, especially at his age. So effectively, I feel like I haven't said this in a very long time, but hats off to Brendan for actually getting something right for the first time. Yeah, I can't complain. He was effective today.
Yeah,
It feels very weird to say that. I'm not saying that his job is safe. It's
we're
it's
still in the
patchwork.
relegation zone.
It's still relegation zone. It's patchwork, but if he can keep doing this and he turns it around, I'll support. But like, he's got a lot more ground to cover.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I think one thing as well, Tom, because I'm agreeing with you, but the way that he took that flick was very, I think, reminiscent of Jamie Vardy versus England versus Germany. If you remember the second goal, it reminded me very similarly of that goal that Daka did, like similar to Vardy.
Yeah, it's actually a really difficult skill to kind of time that and get enough kind of power on it, because it's not like he was right next to the goal either. He was probably about penalty spot area. So yeah, like I think with Daka, obviously when he came last season, he came off the back of an unbelievable kind of scoring season for Salzburg. He scored 4 in that Europa League or Europa, that Europa League game. And I think there is a definite player there. There is a player that can score a lot of goals in the Premier League, but his confidence has been pretty low, I'd say. And like you can see when he scored in the past, it's sort of almost been a celebration, been like a relief, like he's been feeling a lot of pressure to score goals. And I think now it's becoming a bit more like he's feeling himself a bit more, and he's feeling a bit more comfortable. And it does just take a bit of time to get used to the level. It's a big step up from the Austrian league to the Premier League. But I do feel like if we can create chances for him, he can put them away, and we can have a really good striker there. And with Vardy, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to think, are there any other Premier League teams that are regularly starting 35-year-old plus striker? Like, it's not like, and I don't want to have it's not a dig at him. I think he's still got time in the legs. He's still got energy to burn, but like it's about time that we figured out a solution, because like I say, there aren't any other teams I can think of off the top of my head, except from maybe Ronaldo at United.
Even that's not count. Even that doesn't count now.
Yeah, and even Ronaldo's not breaking into there, not starting for them regularly now. So yeah, I think, like saying, maybe the way forwards is for Vardy to come on and have an impact. We'll see what happens with Kelechi. Kelechi's like the enigma that will never. It's like the piece of the puzzle that will never quite fall into place. Every time we hit form in this formation, that means he's not going to get a look in. Every time we have a load of injuries and we have to play 2 up front, he comes in and does well. But I think, it might be the last time that we get we regularly see Iheanacho for a while.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well. In terms of, I think one other player, Alex, that I have to mention again, James Justin did pretty okay. I think pretty decently. Didn't notice too much of him, to be honest. But player, especially in the first half, Timothy Castagna running. He's been left isolated a lot of times. The way that he gets up and down that wing, and he could have got, again, if his crossing was a little bit better. I don't want to criticize him too much. We could have got, and his crossing was a little bit better. He could have got a couple of assists in this game as well, if the balls are put away. But great, again, the way he joins in with that attack, it's like he's a winger. He literally plays the winger at times.
You know what? For both James Justin and Castagna, I'm gonna say that they're starting to come back into their own form, their old form, because they were both battling injuries. With Justin being injured for all that time, he still didn't really look 100%. I think he's slowly starting to come back to what he was. And then, Castagna was dealing with injuries left, right, and center last season. And I think we're finally getting a good run of games for him where he's healthy and he's actually starting to, highlight what he can actually do. So effectively, I think overall, I think both of them are really showcasing, especially Castagna. And like you said, there's times that you see him and you're like, is he a winger? Because like the speed that he has is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Tom, have you got anything else before we have to finish? But I'm gonna lie. Past that game, I was like, am I dreaming? This feels weird. I'm not used to this.
Yeah, and like I say, it's just nice to come out of hiding, come here after a win, and to be reminded that we're not as bad as we have been like the last few weeks. But having said all that, like these next few games, if we lose next week away to Bournemouth, we'll
Back in
forget
the
about
mud.
this 4-0 win pretty quickly. Like we'll be back to square one. So it's not just about one match, it's about keeping this form going now, picking up some much needed points and climbing the table. I don't want to be here during the World Cup or when we come back from the World Cup and be like, we're still in a really troublesome situation. I'd like to get to the World Cup and we're already out of the bottom three, like picked up a nice amount of points. So yeah, and we've got a run of games to do it now. I think that's the one thing that has gone in Brendan's favour is like, yeah, it's been shit. He's been very lucky to keep hold of his job. Not many managers would lose 6 matches in a row and keep their job. It doesn't matter who you are. But his one saving grace was that we had Forest at home, we've got Bournemouth away, and we've got a few more winnable games after that. So he started well. He saved his job tonight, and he needs to. But it's not done. He needs to keep this going now. And yeah, keep climbing that table.
And on to Bournemouth. I mean, it's another good game that we've got in the next game. So if you enjoyed the video, again, like, subscribe, make sure you go and follow Tom. Again, his link is in the description to his Twitter and his YouTube channel there as well. Make sure you go and follow Alex and see, subscribe. We'll try and find a Bournemouth fan. If anybody knows them, make sure to reach out to us on Twitter. We'll be able to find them. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you all in the next video. So goodbye.